Today is this live stream is happening right in the here and the now, right off the cuff. Is that if you don't practice meditation, you're an idiot. Now, if you don't know what meditation is, and you never come across this video, well, then it wouldn't be fair for me to call you an idiot. But for those people who do know about meditation, who do know about Buddhism, who do know about this way of ending suffering, and who are coming across this video, this live stream, and you're not practicing meditation, you are a real idiot, and not in a good way. Because this is live, we'll take about 10 minutes to give people a chance to come across this naturally. And then for the people who are not busy, maybe sometimes we're involved in doing things that are important, but for those people that are not busy and who are coming across this video and who are not idiots, which is most people are idiots, which means really lost in suffering and not taking responsibility for that suffering, not working to transform it. Then we'll practice meditation together for about an hour. It can seem pretty hopeless because, so much of our activities have a sense of instant gratification. So if you go out and maybe you need to get somewhere every day, you can see there's cracks in the walls. Maybe, there's some need that you have, you're hungry or whatever, and you go to the car dealership and you get a $30,000 loan, a $20,000 loan for a new car. Well, that makes a lot of sense. That really works really well because you get this new car and you can drive around in it and gives you hope, buying things. But when we think about confronting our mind or transforming suffering, we're conditioned as Westerners to think that there's not really any such thing as suffering, and also that there's not really any way out of suffering. We're conditioned to think that you're suffering because you're a loser, or you're suffering because you're not an intelligent person. You're suffering because you're not a wealthy person, because you're not able to be successful. And this is a lie. The most wealthy and successful people in America and around the world are people who are suffering more than you can imagine. But they're ashamed of that. So they cover up the suffering with fancy cars, fancy clothes, fancy experiences, but deep down they're suffering a lot. And we look and we see online or in movies or in TV, all of these people who are covering up their suffering. And then we look at ourselves in our own life and we say, well, I don't even have a car, or I can barely pay the bills, or my girlfriend or my boyfriend looks like a troll or a golem, and they don't look like some kind of beautiful person that we see on in the movies. So we get kind of hopeless, and so that sense of hopelessness about addressing, facing, and transforming suffering, that's right there at the precipice. That is the line of transformative change. So when you feel that hopelessness about your ability to transform that suffering, that is where you can begin to transform suffering, right? If you have the openness, if you have the willingness to stop, to step back, and to embody that willingness to face what's going on in the here and now, right? To face up to this meditation practice that we have access to. I am a Buddhist, and I am also currently studying Buddhism, and it's interesting to me too. And the more that we can get this sense of being interested in our mind and our body and what's happening right now, the more we will actually be able to practice meditation successfully, to get the benefit, to get the transformation and the healing from our meditation. And in the same way that this suffering is a constant element in our lives, in the same way that hunger is a constant element in our lives, thirst is a constant element in our lives, our need to be able to support ourselves is a constant need in our lives, so also is the matter of life and death. That life and death are right here and right now to be dealt with, to be confronted, right, to be realized. So you have to realize, to practice meditation seriously, that you are on the edge, you are standing on the cliff of death. So it's not just how can I make sure that my investment portfolio is developed and cultivated, and my 401k is, set up and in the right stocks and all that. But all of that is basically meaningless compared to the reality that you are here. You've already been born, and now you're going to die. And that's a place, that's a moment of recognition of the immediacy of your experience, of your responsibility. And your relationship with the here and the now. So we're going to have a chance to practice together meditation and to go beyond appearances and actually go directly into examining, being with, and facing the root of our mind. Most people don't have enough faith to listen to the Dharma or to listen to the Buddhist teachings, and that's a real shame. But anyway, if you're here, you may not have faith, you may not really be able to comprehend what's going on, and I don't want you to comprehend what's going on. Try to listen, try to practice, try to stay with your breathing, and we can face this suffering together. Any questions? Meditation and live stream like this, or listening to a talk from a Buddhist monk, is also a time that's not about being entertained. So 90% of the world doesn't have an ability or a relationship with not being entertained. So I'm here to not entertain you. If you're not entertained, that's a good sign. But try to be curious on a human level about what's happening right now. And if you're curious about what's happening right now here, and I'm sorry I don't have fancy or strange clothes or wearing makeup. Maybe someday I can do some makeup or something. Some kind of Halloween makeup. Be curious on a human level what's happening here, so that slowly we can turn that curiosity on a human level to what's happening here within yourself. be a Buddhist, where at least I know meditation. I'm proud to say that I live and die with Buddha in my mind. And I proudly sit up here with you, mindful of my breath, because the Buddha didn't sell his soul. He saw it wasn't there. We're going to see that too. So go ahead and find your meditation position. Has anyone here never practiced meditation before? Is anyone here practicing meditation every day? Has anyone here ever heard about Buddhism before? Chris, it's okay if you're gay. It's even good if you're gay. I say it's good to be gay, but a lot of times when we overly identify with our sexual preferences, we can become really degenerates. We can become sexual degenerates. Sexuality is just an animalistic drive. You want to feel pleasure in your genitals. And so whether you're gay or straight or lesbian or trans or whatever that might be, I know there's a little bit of differences in there in terms of being trans, but that's not that important. So you being gay or what you're sexually attracted to in terms of sensations in your genitals is basically not important at all for transforming suffering, for helping others, for benefiting the society. You know, that's a reality. Doesn't mean that gay people can't come together in a circle and kiss each other or talk about the difficulties that they've gone through as having sexual preferences that are not aligned with the norm of the society. I'm not saying that, but when it comes down to it, who cares if you're gay or not? Maybe your personality ego cares about that. Maybe my personality ego doesn't care about that. And there's all kinds of personality egos. But the point is that the Buddhist teachings and this path of meditation and also the path of serving and helping others to meet their needs, okay? It doesn't really have very much to do with what makes our genitals tingle. Okay, so who cares if you're gay or straight or whatever? That's no problem. The problem is when we have a relationship with life that's based in consumption and based in selfishness. And when we have a relationship with life like that, the only thing that is meaningful is what gives us pleasure. So here we're transcending our personality ego. We're going beyond that to for most people to just swipe to another video and keep going on and on and on. Of course, Chris, and we're all being attacked by something or someone, but the biggest attack that's going on is our attack of craving, our attack of desire. So inside each one of us is a 600-pound American monster. And they can, let's say they're gay too. So inside each one of us is a 600-pound gay American food and sex addict inside each one of our hearts or each one of our minds. And so the process and the practice here is to go beyond trying to consume something, beyond trying to feel something pleasurable, beyond trying to avoid something in our direct experience. And in that way, it doesn't matter if it's the government, it doesn't matter if it's aliens, it doesn't matter if it's the gang stalkers outside our door. All of that doesn't matter, because we're stepping into a position of free responsibility to face life right where it is. You know about the medieval or the medieval people, I'm sure, in the Rome Colosseum, or the Knights and the Templars. Sometimes they'd say, Gorgaplox the Destroyer is busy on vacation in Belize, and Arthur, the Knight of Swift Retribution, is dead now, and we need to do something to entertain the masses, because the masses, or the ordinary people, are just derangedly swiping on TikTok and YouTube and eating cheeseburgers all the time. Hey, I'm not afraid to say it. So they take Chris, or they take AZ, or they take Rain in Africa off the street. They haven't been training. They don't have any armor. They don't know how to use a weapon. They take them and they throw them in the arena with the halfway retired lion. And so now Chris and Rain in Africa and AZ are in a life and death situation. And so we are always in that situation. This is always a life and death moment when it comes to reality, when it comes to the universe, when it comes to the nature of the body. Because this body has already been born. So what's next? Death. Birth and death are a serious matter, and they can only be addressed or faced or dealt with when we can stop our complicated involvements with the outside world and bring our attention to the here and now. And what if you don't do that? Well, good luck in the arena. Okay, the arena is open. The arena is open for business. Oh, 10 votes. That's great. Everybody's here. Okay. So, how do we meditate? How do we do this? Um, so meditation, I'm going to say this very seriously and very honestly. Anyone ever here been to In-N-Out Burger? In-N-Out Burger is kind of like a super McDonald's or a super Wendy's. It's a super fast food burger joint. And you know how much Americans love fast food. So you can imagine how much they would love a super fast food place. And that's what In-N-Out Burger is. In-N-Out Burger is a super McDonald's. So sometimes when you go to get your In-N-Out Burger, you go to your super fast food place, it's not fast food anymore, because you drive after work or you drive on your lunch break and you're so excited to eat food in your car while you're listening to your podcast or while you're watching a movie or something like that. And so it's not just you that feels that way, but it's hundreds and thousands of other people that have had the same thought as you, right? We're just, most of the time, we're just going along with the habit energies of the masses. So starting to practice meditation is kind of like going into that line for In-N-Out Burger, going into that line in your car for Super McDonald's. And what that means is that once you're in line, if you want to get that burger, if you want to get that delicious meal, all you can do is wait. So there's a quality of meditation where we actually have to trap ourselves. We have to get trapped in the willingness to practice meditation. And if you go to a meditation retreat, or if you go to a Buddhist temple, or if you get, wrapped up in some kind of cult, you're very invested, you're very involved. So you're kind of trapped in that situation, and then you go along with whatever is happening, because the service doesn't end for about an hour or what have you, or it takes so long to actually get the result, to get your cheeseburger. So how do we cultivate that sense of a willingness to be trapped, or a willingness to be continuously involved in our meditation? Well, we have to know suffering. Because when we know suffering, when we remember suffering, when we remember that all the thoughts that we've had up to this moment haven't worked, all the activities that we've done up to this moment haven't worked, all the relationships that we've had up to this moment haven't worked. Haven't worked for what? Being free from suffering. Nothing has worked. Your car doesn't work, your house doesn't work, your job doesn't work, your relationship doesn't work, the food in your fridge doesn't work, the coffee doesn't work. Nothing works. And so this is an important realization, that nothing in your life up to this point has given you freedom from suffering. And so what are the qualities of all those things? Well, you can write a story about all those things. You can write a story about the food that you eat. You can write a story about the relationships that you have with other people. You can write a story about your material possessions that you pay bills on. Someone just responded no in the poll of who is ready to meditate. Who do you think you are to say no to being willing to meditate here and now? So we have a question and a comment from a French person. Bonjour, comment ça va? Je suis un tomate. Faz Pluto, you might have gotten me here. Says, I don't understand the point of meditation. You feel good when you do it. Well, that's your first problem. Try not feeling good when you do meditation. Anyways, I don't understand the point of meditation. You feel good when you do it, but ultimately it doesn't bring... Someone else just said no. This poll of who is ready to meditate is rhetorical in nature. No to meditation in this moment is a no to life. Be very careful about how you respond to this poll. Okay, continuing. With the French person. I don't understand the point of meditation. You feel good when you do it, but ultimately it doesn't bring anything in your daily life. You're experiencing consciousness. You're not improving your life. Good. So, firstly, don't practice meditation as a way to improve your life. Get the idea of improving your life out of meditation. If I say that let's meditate together to improve your life, that's just a trick. That's the trap. That's the fast food advertisement so that I can get you in that drive-through. You see? So first things first, don't meditate to improve your life. And the second thing is, meditation can feel very horrible. Probably the best time to meditate and the best meditations are when you feel horrible. Okay? Now listen to this because this is very interesting. And if we can't listen to this interesting sound, which is a sound that is beyond language and beyond conceptual thought, all right, everybody, let's get some W's in the chat. Let's leave some likes on the live stream. Leave your comments, leave your questions down below. So Brennan Baco says, does the length of our meditations help us reach enlightenment, or can we meditate for 10 minutes and still be able to reach an enlightened state? I'm going to release my thoughts about what's happening in this live stream. And I'm also going to release my thoughts about who I personally am. I'm going to release the thoughts about this body and mind, this identity and this ego, and I'm going to release the thoughts about what's happening here and now. I'm going to release those thoughts. W's in the chat. W's for Buddha in the chat. Okay? I'm here. I'm here sincerely. This is my sincerely. But we need to learn two words, two phrases. The first phrase is, I don't understand. We have to relearn. I'm in a Buddhist temple, so I can't be screaming. We need to relearn the phrase, I don't understand. I don't understand. There's no penalty. There's no admonishment. There's no bad grade that you get. I don't understand. If you don't know the phrase, I don't understand, you better learn it. You better practice it. The second phrase is, hello. I'm not here to buy a coffee, I'm just here. Eyes to eyes with the barista. I'm not here to buy anything at the grocery checkout counter. I'm not here to take a flight at TSA, at the security checkpoint. I don't have a boarding pass. I'm just here. If everything that we're doing in our lives is about getting something, then what are you going to get when you die? You don't know. You don't understand. W's in the chat, everybody. Big W's in the chat. We are about to go way beyond what's expected of this moment. Okay, another question. W's for the Buddha in the chat, everybody. We're meditating. This is engaged meditation. This is transcendental meditation. This is the frontier of the unknown. Okay, Isaac's just leaving a comment. It's a good comment, Isaac. Do we have any questions? KCPH TV, we're teaching Buddhism here. We're teaching real Buddhism here. Okay? In this space, books are not allowed. No books. No beef, just lettuce. Sincerely, not as a joke. If you don't know how to meditate, so this is a real invitation. Yes, to put W's in the chat. Yes, to leave a like. Yes, to share this live portal, this interdimensional rift with your grandma in Kansas City. Yes, this is that. But it is also meant to be a live stream of unconvincing. The only practical thing that we can do together right now is to be unconvinced. And phase Pluto Tekor, if we don't practice meditation, that's okay. But you will not know much about your mind. And you will be very easily convinced and swayed and moved around by the thoughts and ideas of others. So for me, it's very, very difficult for someone to convince me of something. It's very, very difficult for me to be influenced by an idea from someone else. Not because I reject those people's ideas, but because I can see through my practice of meditation that ideas or thoughts are temporary, are impermanent, are changing all the time. Just like this body, just like this mind. So, This is something that cannot be ruined. This is something that cannot be at fault. You see? Rain in Africa. This is why you've only been able to meditate while listening to Psy trance music. Rain in Africa says, everybody put some W's for Buddha in the chat. No, that's what I say. Rain in Africa says, do you consider magic mushrooms a cheap, filthy shortcut to enlightenment? No, they're a cheap and filthy shortcut to nonsense. The only practical purpose for psychedelics, for mushrooms, for ayahuasca, for DMT, for LSD, etc., is a medical use case for someone who's being supported by a professional, someone who's being in an environment that is conducive for deep spiritual safety and protection, okay? And those environments are very, very rare and uncommon. Those people are very rare and uncommon. So mostly, 99% of the time, mushrooms and LSD and DMT and ayahuasca, etc., it's just, at best, a cheap trick. And at worst, it's a shortcut to wasted energy and time and nonsense. It is not a very good replacement for not being convinced of thoughts anymore. Now, question from AM. Have you ever entered the jhanas? If I have ever entered the jhanas, I wouldn't be a Buddhist. So I have never entered the jhanas because I am a Buddhist. This is specific. This is intimate. This is a razor's edge. This is life and death. This is right here and right now. People love to talk about how well things are going for them. People love to talk about how they paid a bunch of money to a shaman or a guru, or they spent $10,000 on an ayahuasca retreat in Peru, and now they've been transformed. Well, they spent all that money, they better have something to give to all the other people, okay? If they were that transformed, they wouldn't have to talk about it that way. They would just be embodying it. I can't tell you on X, on Threads, on social media, how many random people I see popping up. I'm a Reiki professional. I'm here to transform you. I can help you. I'm not trying to be mean to those people, but it's just very common that we have these special ideas about ourselves. Okay, hey, I was a Buddhist monk for 7 years. I traveled the world. I did meditation retreats all over the world. I studied with all great meditation masters in the world. Where's my job? Where's my ayahuasca retreat? Nowhere. So nothing's owed to us. And when we go around advertising about our experiences, and then that's why people should listen to us or believe in us. We're just looking for something to do. We're just looking for something to talk about. We're just advertising ourselves. So instead of trying to get high, instead of trying to have a special meditation experience, in meditation we realize, and this is a teaching, that I'm working with here, is to realize how special this is. To realize how special and interesting reality as it is. That it's not what we thought that it was. That our egos and our personalities and our life is not what we thought that it was. And so you may need someone else, or maybe in the future I can be the person to tell you what it is or what it should be. But now, this teaching and this invitation is that this is not what we thought that it was. And we're lucky and fortunate that we don't have an overseer or a property owner or a manager of this structure, of this environment, who can then say, well, it is this way. Meaning that this process of questioning and unpacking is available for all of us. There's no answer what enlightenment is or what the real meditation practice is or what the real path is from outside. But instead, by being unconvinced by the outside, we can question internally, what is this? And you can't describe that. You can't put that into a box. Like me secretly being an alien from Zepton 9 that's here to sell skincare lotion. I don't talk about that so often, but the relative and the absolute, or the way that things can seem to be, or the way that things can be described to be, and the way that things are, interdependent. So if I say that things are one way, and I have a small knife, and Gorgaplox the Destroyer, who lives in the interdimensional, outside the interdimensional rift nearby Zeptune 5, says that this is the way that things are and has a super knife. Well, traditionally in human society, Glorgon gets to decide. And so this, we might be able to look into that and say, wait a minute, I don't necessarily agree with that. Whoever's got the bigger knife gets to create the narrative of reality. And so the knife here in our own lives is our habit energies, our consistent desires, our consistent fears, our inability to step back from compulsive behavior. Both big and small knives. It's a little bit better, a little bit worse. And our real meditation practice is not to use the smaller knife, that has a little bit more self-improvement or being a little bit more relaxed to stab ourselves, but instead to actually go into knifelessness, to go beyond the story and the idea that people have a right to using knives to determine what reality is. So we're taking away the ability for our desires and for our fears to write the story of our lives. We are rescinding the power of the intergalactic empire, and we are rescinding the power of the gang stalkers outside of our door. We are rescinding the power of being lost in desire. We are rescinding the power of being lost in fear. We are rescinding the power of our ego narrative to just go whatever way it wants to go. You have to take the direction that you want the world to go in. And that will set up the platform or create the platform for that to happen in the future. The stronger your platform is, the more able you'll be able to support others to make use of it, to do what that platform supports, such as protecting the environment or practicing meditation. Okay, so speaking of, let's get into some meditation practice. Who's ready? And the poll. 85% are ready to meditate, 15% are not ready to meditate. Oh, 84%. Okay, yes and no. Okay, meditate or else, and I'm not joking. So, the first thing we want to do in our meditation practice is get comfy and cozy in our meditation position. Who here has a meditation position? This is actually something that I do want to know. Who here has a meditation position? Reading and watching fiction and watching entertainment is kind of like sugar for the mind. So you can get diabetes, which is a big problem, and you can also get fat, and you can also influence other people to be eating sweets, then they're getting addicted to sweets. It's not a good idea. So reducing watching YouTube, reducing watching TikTok. Namo Aida Phật, Namo Aida Phật, Namo Aida Phật. Oh fuck. All right. So firstly, find your meditation position. Sit cross-legged, sit in a chair. Sit in a relaxed way and sit upright. Okay, means your chest is open, your shoulders are back. You're being attentive to this moment with your body. So you sit like that, and then what do you feel? You maybe feel, for me, maybe I feel a little bit like a fool right now, sitting upright like this. What the heck's going on? But anyway, instead of dwelling on what you think about what you're experiencing, you experience that you're sitting this way. And the first step into this experience and being okay to enter in this experience is that you're not trying to think about it, but it's just being experienced. So you're experiencing already the way that the body is, sitting like this, sitting like that. And what do you see? What do you experience? Because I bet you can feel the body. I bet you can feel, like right now I can feel the bottom or my spine muscles in this nearby the spine. I can feel my knee. I can kind of feel my eyes and my head. So it's a little bit awkward, right? It's an awkward experience. That's good. If you're having an awkward experience, that's good. So, with that self aware, self conscious, awkward experience of the body, go ahead and click the clicker to the breathing channel. And you may immediately, like when I did that, I immediately found that the body started to relax. So now there's maybe a little bit less awkward experience of the body, and I'm watching the breathing channel. I'm watching the breathing video on MeTube. My body feels a little bit awkward, and I can notice aspects of my body, like my knee, pain in my knee, or pressure in my butt. But I'm still watching the breathing channel on MeTube. And I notice that as I continue watching the breathing channel on MeTube, there's a there's a sense of the body relaxing. There's a sense of flow in the mind. And so watching the breathing channel on MeTube, letting the body relax, closing the eyes. Let the mind enter the body. Let the whole body become filled with the mind. Whole body and mind together. Watching the breathing video on MeTube. Noticing tension and relaxing that tension when it comes up naturally. Take a deeper breath than usual. One of the techniques that I like in a deep breath is I take a deep breath and I pick up my chest and I pick up my shoulders, kind of over exaggerated. And then as I breathe out that deep breath, I roll my shoulders back, adjust my spine and my body to be more relaxed. So the body is filled with the mind. And the mind is watching the breathing video on MeTube. Meaning that the attention of the mind is on the breathing experience, and listen closely. Not trying to get anything. Not trying to avoid anything. So the difficulty in staying here is the thought that there's something to get out of this experience. Pain is not a problem. Breathing in deeply, we can release and relax anything and everything up to this point. Stay close with that breathing. Notice each aspect without judgment, just seeing it as it is. Feeling pain, feeling movement, feeling mentality, disposition. Sometimes there can be visuals or auditory experiences. Very often there is pain. Very often there's tension in the back or the butt. So watching without judgment and allowing natural release through uninvolvement. Tension itself is a kind of involvement. The suffering connected to pain, physical pain, is a kind of involvement. We're not staying anywhere. We're not getting into a state. The body is still because the body's been in motion. Because of the constant need to breathe, we have the gift of concentration. So be open and flexible to awareness of that breathing that is so constant. Not just the inhale, not just the exhale, but also the space in between. And when we feel pain in meditation, it is a blessing. In the same way that pleasure seems to allow us to get away from suffering, pain seems to be this cause of suffering. So, in our meditative state, feeling pain, dare to face it, dare to be with it, dare to accept pain, dare to know pain without suffering, just to know it, just to experience it, just to feel it as it is. Perhaps we can say to the world, perhaps we can say to the body and mind that it's okay to feel pain. Perhaps we can say that it's not bad to feel pain. Perhaps we can say that pain is to be experienced, to be faced, without trying to run towards it, without trying to run away from it. Okay? We'll stop our meditation there. I hope that you all enjoyed your meditation practice. I hope that it gave you benefit and blessings and peacefulness. I don't know. This is what I'm doing. Maybe I'm doing everything wrong. Who knows? But seems to be working today. Seems to be working at this moment. So I'm very grateful that we have this chance to practice together. In the midst of pain, in the midst of this vibrational field. Yeah, I've been doing this meditation thing for a number of years, and I've been suffering for more years than that. And I remember when I started teaching, living in Myanmar, and I was working with this Discord server, this Healthy Gamer Discord server, and giving these guided meditations. And we kind of built a following, or built a community through some of the people that were there, and I can remember at one point we had some difficulties with the owners of the server, and we wanted to show how how these teachings benefited people and what the impact was. And I can remember all of these experience reports or all of these testimonials that people gave about how it benefited them and how it gave them this insight and it helped them in their lives. And so from there to here, I've just experienced immense suffering. And I'm sure that, fingers crossed, of course, but I'm sure that I'll probably experience more immense suffering. And that I'm not a scholar, I'm not I don't have a really stable life. I'd say I have one of the most unstable lives of of, of anyone who I teach meditation for. My life's probably way more unstable than theirs is, in ways that we would usually determine that. So it's a roll of the dice, I guess. All I can say in terms of people have faith in me or listen to my teachings and kind of try to go along the path that I'm walking on. All I can say is that I'm sincere, and whether I like it or not, I'm certainly moved by the 8 consistent lies of Buddhism, or the 8 worldly winds of Buddhism. Pleasure feels good, pain feels bad, gain feels good, loss feels. Sometimes loss is good as well, but that it's my sincere to practice and to continue on this path, and to break through these barriers of being like controlled by and lost in desire and lost in pleasure and lost in fame and lost in profit and lost in people praising me and looking up to me. I'm trying to really get beyond that. And, I do hope that it's benefiting a lot of people. But, I'm suffering. And, maybe I should put that as a disclaimer for anyone following my teachings or, that has faith in me in some kind of way as a teacher or as a meditation master or a master of the mind. I am suffering, and I'm doing my best to, I'm causing myself a lot more suffering than I'm causing other people, that's for sure. Which, thank Buddha for that. But I'm on the path, and this is a place for people who feel connected to me and my life and this path and the Buddha's teachings, with as little additives, with as little construction, with as little contrivance or complicated thinking as possible. And continue on that path. And hey, remember that if you're not meditating, you're so, yeah. and I'll see everyone again soon. May we all be well. May we all be happy. May we all be peaceful. May we remember when suffering that there is a way out of suffering, that our capacity to stop, to step back, to face that suffering in a lovely and gentle way is right there with our capacity to transform it. And that instead of following negative coping mechanisms based on avoidance, based on seeking pleasure, may we take our suffering as the medicine and the reminder and as the teacher that leads us to this path, to listening to Dharma talks, to listening to guided meditations, to sitting down and reading a book about Buddhism, or hey, just to stop and face the mind inside, and not letting suffering be an excuse for not doing that, but instead being a reminder, an invitation, and a friend to bring us home. And to not hold too much idealism about our practice. When we fall down, to be open and say, hey, I do fall down. And when we stand up, to just hold this little bit of hope that we can keep going down this path, we can keep using suffering as a reminder to face, transform, and transcend suffering rather than falling into our coping mechanisms. Namaho Rengekyo, may it be, may it be, may it truly, truly be. Let's all continue on the path together, alone together. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.